welcome back to another episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, I hope that you just are having a fabulous time. You're staying safe and you're coping with all the weird weather that's happening at the moment. Down here in New Zealand, it's been an incredibly wet summer. And my amazing guest today, Hilary, who's tuning in all the way from Colorado, I believe has had fires, and I didn't even ask you if you had snow. But first of all, hello, Hilary, and welcome.
Hi, Kat. It is so great to be here. And yes, the answer is we are deep in our winter. You guys are in your summer, and it is snowing. It is cold. We're getting another big storm that's coming in tomorrow. But you know what? I just got back from a incredible sunshine trip. So I can't, there's no complaining here.
Yeah. Look, one of my dreams is to have a white Christmas one day. The concept of snow, I've barely ever seen it. So, it just blows my mind that you guys have to keep
now that we're starting to get so close, you might want to come visit me.
That's true. That's true.
Because this is definitely where you're going to get a white Christmas.
Wow. So Hilary DeCesare is tuning in from Colorado, folks. And Hilary is an amazing woman. So what I'm going to do is just tell you a few little snippets about her, but I'm going to pop all of her bio in the show notes, on the blog, on the YouTube channel, wherever you're tuning into me. And you are just going to be blown away. And I just tell you now, get out that paper and pen, tune in, because the conversation I've been having with Hilary just prior to hitting record has already been absolutely life-changing. In fact, I've been getting the goosebumps from it. So Hilary DeCesare is an award-winning business expert. She's an esteemed author. She's a pioneer of female powerhouses in Silicon Valley. And she's just released a new book called Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. And it details a proprietary method that she talks about, 3HQ, which I'm going to let her explain, which is a method so that women combine their heart, their head, and their higher self to create new brain patterns and shed limiting beliefs. Now, what I particularly loved, Hilary's biography, like I said, is amazing. And it talks about, being a multi-million-dollar Silicon Valley serial entrepreneur. This lady is the bomb. But you know something? What really, really, really resonated with me the most about this incredible lady is that she is so committed to supporting organizations that make a difference in the world. So particularly she's involved with organizations that fight human trafficking and childhood cancer. And she was also part of ABC's TV series Secret Millionaire, where she shared the stories of people who have overcome difficult circumstances. So we're talking about someone who's a phenomenal businesswoman, financially amazing, but someone who has a heart and is making a difference in people's lives. And that's what I resonate with. And that's why I'm so thrilled to welcome you today to the show, Hilary. And I'd love to just hear all about how did you kind of get into this area of going from being this powerhouse lady to someone who is making a difference in the lives of people around the world, both with the work you do and the charities that you support?
Kat, thank you, because it's so encouraging when people resonate with the relaunch message, especially when you're in your midlife, I call it the mid zone, and you're trying to really figure it all out, like, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? When you think about relaunch, never in our history, so if you're in that mid-zone space, have we ever had multiple relaunches from a global perspective to a business perspective to a personal perspective happening at the same time?
Yes.
When I talk about global relaunches, it's crazy. It really, we've always had like, oh, this is happening in the world. And, maybe there's one thing happening with me, but everyone is going through this. We're all being hit with the 3 impactful relaunches all at the same time. And for some of us, it's, there's a lot more in the business world as well. For some of us, professionally and personally, we're being like, we feel like, can't get a break. Every time we turn around, yet there's another relaunch, another transition. And eventually I kept seeing this over and over. And the book, as you mentioned, is Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life. But it's also Spark Your Passion to Ignite Your Purpose.
Oh, love
Because
that. Yes.
many of us have just, we've doled out. We've lost the shine. We've lost that
We've
spark.
settled. We've just settled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not feeling like, and when we're unsettled, it's usually because where we thought we were going to be right now and where we aren't in alignment.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You
that's
have
a
this vision.
huge part of midlife reinventions, isn't it? Regardless of what area. It's suddenly realizing that,
Totally.
oh, hang on, this is not what I saw. This is not what I wanted.
Yeah. And a lot of times people will be like, oh, am I having a midlife crisis? And for women, we don't call it a crisis. We're like, I'm going to be just fine. I don't have time for a crisis.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So we kind of put it behind the door because, you know what, I'll get to that later.
I got laundry to do.
I got washing, I got cleaning, I got to go grocery shopping, I got to do all these things. Who has a time for crisis? But where it really stems from is your identity.
Yeah.
Again, it's when things aren't matching to what our expectations were at this point in our life. That's the identity crisis. And that is what I was really going for in writing the book. And you mentioned all of the different things. Yes, I've done corporate, in Silicon Valley, I've launched my own businesses. I've helped well over, 1,000 executives and entrepreneurs scale and grow their business. Wow. But we've had this situation happen where many of us grew up in the time period where it was really, it was more focused on IQ. It was more focused on the intellect. It was more focused on be in your head. Do not show your emotions. Do not let down your guard. That's weak, and
especially
forget about
women in the workplace. Like, you got to be even stronger because you don't want to look weak compared to all the men.
And when you talk about intuition, we call it women's intuition, as if that's a bad thing. We don't call it men's intuition.
That's right.
And it's interesting to sit here and say that it's finally starting to change with everything that's happened in the world. And it's no longer a new normal we're going into. It's a new different. It's not about IQ of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is, when we were in the 90s, when we were, kind of coming up in the workspace. And it's not about in the 90s, at the end of 90s, it was really about EQ started to just show its face. And people are like, oh, what does that mean to be emotionally available and to lead with emotion? It still sounded like, how do you really do that? And so Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO of Facebook, she wrote Lean In.
Yes.
And it didn't hit the mark. People were leaning into these things and we're like, it was not good. We were going for jobs and, trying to wear the pants. We were trying to be the man in the room, and it backfired for many, women. And I know, I leaned in and I ended up getting, some of these promotions that ended up being, I sat there at my desk and my kids were off with their nanny. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not home for when they wake up. I'm not home when they're, going to bed. This was wrong. And so what I decided to do is I evaluated everything that had really happened. And then I really looked at the last few years and this unsettledness that it seems like is going on right now of where do we go? Where do we go? And I came up with, because I've been teaching this and I've been coaching on this for so many years. I've been coaching for over 20 years. I realized that it's really what I have been working on with individuals and with organizations, and it's called 3HQ. And the H's stand for head, heart, higher self. And the whole concept is you got to get out of your head. You got to get out of your own way. And you got to get into that heart, the why space. Why are you even doing this? Why do you even, when you wake up in the morning, what lights you up? What fires you up? And then when those two are working in unison, that's when you can tap into your higher self, that best version of you. When you know you're operating at like, yeah, this feels right. And the 3HQ has transformed people's lives. They've gone from like, oh my God, I felt so like I was dull inside, and now I'm alive again. And I think ultimately, when you really ask yourself, what are you going for? Lifestyle of success means a lot of different things to different people.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
Purpose.
Yes.
Joy.
It's the driver. Purpose is the biggest driver in my, sorry, I have to jump in there because that's what I write about in my books. It's all about, at the end of the day, fulfillment and purpose, I think is a much stronger driver than success and wanting accolades.
The purpose.
Yeah.
The purpose leads to what your vision of success is. And I think 3HQ allows you to gain clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can keep it going, Kat, there's a concept and it's a process that has become so powerful, and it's called tune in. It's the first step for people. If you're like, oh, this all sounds good, this 3HQ that Hilary's talking about, but a lot of times you hear concepts and you're like, how do I get out of my head?
Yeah.
How do I even start? And so can I take a couple seconds to share that?
Yeah.
So the tune in process is really this. First and foremost, you have to realize, what are the thoughts that are going on in your head? What are the stories that you're telling yourself about why you're doing certain things, why you're staying where you are, why you're feeling stuck, why you're feeling overwhelmed, underwhelmed? All right. So it's this point of gaining clarity. So really tuning into that. The second step, and that's your head, right? Tuning in, right? That's the head part of it. And once you're able to do that, then you start to think, well, what are the emotions that are attached to these stories, to this feeling like I'm not where I'm supposed to be? Like, how is it really feeling? Or perhaps you're hitting a wall in terms of the growth of your company. Perhaps you're like trying to get to the 6 figures. You're trying to get to 7. I got 8-figure people. I mean, you name it. It's the same thing. It's interesting. Nobody really thinks that, they've already passed that. They've already, gone through that gate. No. There's people that have very, very, very successful businesses that feel the same way. We can't get out of our own way. And so by getting out of your head, that's step 1. That's that tune in. Then you tune into your emotions. Now, here's the thing. At this point, I ask people, what is a song that literally elevates your mood? When you hear it, Kat, you can't be anything but like, all right, I'm in a good mood. I'm like feeling it. Do you have a song that literally lights you up? That you hear it, you just want to start to like move around?
Are you asking me directly?
Can you share it?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to know.
The funny thing is, I often talk about this in my Rocking Midlife book group, and I'll sometimes ask the women, what is your theme song? If your life is a movie, what is your theme song? And mine that always gets me pumping is Bon Jovi, It's My Life. And
God, that is such a great song.
And the line, it's now or never. That's my driver. Yeah.
So what I would say is, okay, so now to change your channel, to now go from that state, because you can never think about like moving forward if you're feeling stuck. So we have to elevate you. We have to elevate your energy. And the way to do that is it's now or never, right? It's, Bon Jovi right now. So you think about the song and you get yourself from that place of lower vibrational energy. We know that in shame and blame, it's like a level of 20 or 30 on the vibrational scale. And we want to elevate you. And so when you start to think about that, then you can change your channel. Then you can start to think about getting past that, because you want to be open to new ideas. You want to be open to elevating yourself and where you're going and gaining more clarity of like, what do I really want to do? How do I really want to take my business to the next level? And the only way to do that is to get to a higher place. So now I've got you in that mindset. And I always say, keep yourself going in that space as you're really then asking yourself that question again, tuning in again. All right, what is challenging you? What is it about your business? And you're tuning in, you're changing the channel. And remember, changing the channel doesn't have to be some massive, like, oh my God. It can be very small to really tune into that little incremental. And when you get your head and your heart working together and you're tuning in, then you can tap into your higher self. Then you can start to operate. And, law of attraction, people sometimes say, well, the law of attraction is not working for me. I keep attracting everything I don't want. And when you're trying to attract something at a low vibrational level, like I'm in shame, I'm in blame, I'm feeling stuck, that's what you're pulling in.
Yeah.